Hey, welcome. This is Dr. John Bush. For my journey, I call the process. Check me out at fakepigskin.com. This is from an article that I'll be putting up today as soon as I get this all ciphered and figured out. I've already put up my snaps report with video lesson. I've also put out my targets and attempts for the week with video lesson. Those show you the patterns, the trends, the biases, what's happening now versus last week and the week before. It's important to follow that. You've got to be clued into all the moving parts, that is teams, and then this is the matchup. So you've got the team versus team and all the stories inside the teams, and now we're going to talk about the stories between the teams, how the defenses of each team in the matchup will potentially behave, will set the table for the other team's players to improve or decline, and just inspiring your thinking for your lineups. You've got to have framework. You've got to have a model to forecast from, and check out my classroom at Fake Pigskin. I have video lessons on other like preseason material, but there's some articles on behavior and decision making under uncertainty, these kind of things. So there's some depth there. Check out a podcast that myself and D Mike put out at Science of Fantasy. He's a meteorologist. I'm a biologist. Been a college professor, actually university professor, full professor now of biology, and started 1995, but really I started college in 77, so I've really that started my journey here. So please check all the background, consider the puzzle pieces. Nobody's going to have a perfect handle on anything. There's just uncertainty, okay? It's not risk, it's uncertainty, okay? And I think I'm going to just quickly tell you that risk is an understanding of the probabilities in a fixed environment, a fixed situation. You go to the casino, that is risk. You play the roulette wheel, black and red. You know the odds of hitting, and of course the casino pays you just below the value of that, and that's risk. There's nothing unknown there. You have a wheel, you have a ball, it moves. There's a certain process to playing roulette. Uncertainty means that we don't know everything. Imagine in the middle of the roulette spin, the wheel got bigger or smaller, or the ball got bigger or smaller, okay? Or it moved around the room or something, just something crazy. You can't predict that. You don't know that's part of it. You can't see that. It's trying to figure out what an elephant is being without sight, right? You've heard the parable. Everybody grabs a part of the elephant and makes a conclusion because they can't see everything. Okay, that's uncertainty. Fantasy football is uncertainty. Sorry, I wish it wasn't. People want to tell you and act like it is a known quantity, and I'm just telling you now, I don't know everything. It is uncertain. The best we can do is try to mitigate that uncertainty and being flexible, understanding averages, understanding distributions of data, all that helps. Okay, it doesn't solve the problem, but it helps. That's the best you can do, is mitigate your uncertainty. Okay, suggest, if you really are interested in this topic, just search decisions under uncertainty, and you'll find so many scholarly articles, books. All sorts of professions have to deal with that constantly. So if you want to know what's a big issue in human endeavors, it's decision making under uncertainty. Okay, there's the trick. And there are ways to formulate and approach that. They're not, again, nothing's 100% when you have high uncertainty. Okay, so that's my take of that, my soapbox. So let's talk about week 5 matchups. First game we're going to talk about is Minnesota and Detroit. So up above in all these figures, I'll have the game. That's just my numbers here. The favorite team is the Vikings, predicting 32 points. The underdog, call them dog, is Detroit at 17. So it's about 49, 50 points. Vegas spread is 7-5, so about a touchdown. So they're predicting, isn't it interesting? So they're predicting that, but I think the Vikings really skew that way. Still wondering if Dalvin Cook is playing. I know he kind of came back, but if you look at the snaps and whatnot, it was a share time with Madison, and I just don't know this week. I don't know if what they got out of that evaluation. I would have, even though I have him in needing, prefer for the long term to be cautious with him, but I don't control or make those decisions. And so the point predicted is high scoring. I think there's going to be multiple touchdowns and PPR goodness. So the next block of materials, the game before, is the team in question. The week is week 5, and their opponent under OPP. And notice I have Minnesota and Detroit, and Detroit has a light green colorization. So bright green would be easy defense. Light green is above average easy. Light red is below average hard, and deep red is the toughest, very hard. So Minnesota gets a lot of his opportunities because Detroit is fairly easy. It's also a home game for Minnesota. The overall Detroit offense is rated 87. So the DAPs, the defense against the position, DAP I call them, I have set my metrics on a scale of 0, the toughest, to 100 or so, the easiest. So now with the colors, with the numbers, you can get a feel for how easy or hard the road is for the different players in their positions. So overall, Minnesota gets a nice matchup. And then looking at RB DAPS, 99. That means almost the easiest matchup their running backs can have. So whichever one plays, I hope just one, main one, they should have a spectacular opportunity. Notice I didn't say they were going to knock it out of the park because we're uncertain, but it's the best we have. The landscape appears to be extremely favorable for lots of rushing and points and touchdowns. The quarterback, running, wide receiver, and tight end, that's kind of a next block. Notice I've blocked that out. That's the passing activities. and the pass catching activities from the Detroit defense here. So those are all above average easy. And the tight end really gets the best of that, 77. Conklin's been on that cusp. This could be a good streaming week for him, streaming tight ends. If you're into kickers and defenses, 72 is not bad. Minnesota's defense could be a nice play. And, of course, the kicker. Minnesota's kicker looks like the Detroit doesn't defend well against blocking kicks and whatnot. Okay, the other side of the coin, Detroit faces tougher than average Minnesota. It's an away game for them. Overall, they're still facing a fairly easy situation, 61. But the roughness comes in their running backs, 48. So it's an average game. And so Swift and Williams are, they're going to do average, but given the circumstances of Detroit, average may not be as good as we would think average would be. So I'm a little underwhelmed. They're still playable, but my expectations are going to be lower. QB, wide receiver, tight end in the 60s. I do not know if Hockenson plays. People say, 50-50. And this week, remember to set your lineups early because of the London game, which, I'm not a fan of the London games. I got process and routines, and nobody's got time for that business. Okay, so National League, NFL League, come on now. Quit having that stuff. Okay. I understand playing in Canada or something. That's fine. Expand up there. I would not be playing the Detroit defense at a 22. So Minnesota should do well passing and running and multiple touchdowns, probably balanced. They could jump up and salt away the game and turn to, extending the clock, running a lot more and passing. So the only danger, I think, with the pass catchers is if Minnesota gets so far ahead, they don't even have to pass much. And then, we get angry at that. And, of course, the opposite is what we like, garbage time touchdowns. Okay, so that will be coming from Detroit. So there may be some extra opportunities with Cephas or Raymond normally that you wouldn't play. They may have a little bit because the defense is so bad. They could have some opportunities this week. So I'm not shying away from those people, but I wouldn't play them in daily fantasy sports. The next game is Brady and the Buccaneers, Miami, 35-14. All the points should come from the Tampa Bay. Miami gets 2 touchdowns. But, Bissett has been surprising. So I could concede that there's some opportunity to be closer than we think. The spread is like 10 or 11. Over under is 50 points. But I do believe Tampa Bay is going to score 4 or 5 touchdowns. Running, passing, maybe even get a defensive score on Miami. So Miami gets Tampa Bay, which is a very easy team out of 100. However, Tampa Bay shuts down the running back. So Gaskin, Brown, and Ahmed, whoever's the lead dog. And if you looked at my snaps or targets, there was all sorts of confusion in that crew. We thought Gaskins was it, but then Brown outdid him in snaps, I think, or close to it. There was just, I'm not sure who's what, and it looks committee. So I would scale back a lot my thinking for Miami running backs. On the other hand, Tampa Bay just, basically stands back and lets the wide receivers at 150 dap just do what they want. That is the easiest. So Devon Parker and Gasecki have an opportunity here to grab some touchdowns. And like I said, I think the opportunity is more than one might predict. Again, I just put 14 because I really think on average that's about where Miami scores, but I could see scenarios where Miami, garbage time and whatnot, does better. I would not play the Miami defense or the kicker. Tampa Bay gets easy than average defense. They're playing home 68. It's nice. The running backs, so Fournette, if Bernard's playing, and Jones, again, a muddled backfield. I think Fournette is the lead, and he's the pass catching type. They've been pass catching a lot as well. The Miami's a little rougher at QB and passing, so Brady may be doing more shorter passes. Too bad Gronk's not there. Brait may surprise people. If you ask for daily fantasy, Brait, I could see a touchdown. Okay. I could see some rushing and a balanced, and again, depending on if Miami falls too far behind, I could see a lot more of Jones this week than you think. It just depends. So it's kind of like an uncertainty as to the game script and how he fits in. But some possibilities include Tampa Bay just crushing the Dolphins and Jones being used to run the ball. But I think they're going to use Fournette for that. So Tampa Bay's defense is worth playing. 79. That's, yeah, you could play Tampa Bay. Packers Cincinnati is going to be closer than people think. I got it 28-21. About a touchdown, but the spread officially is about 4, and it's still a high game at 50 over under. Devontae Adams and Rodgers should connect. Tanyan has an opportunity. Aaron Jones certainly has an opportunity. So let's look at the deeper matchup. Green Bay goes against Cincinnati, above average, easy, 76, nice. Running back, nice. Rodgers, 88, that's sweet. The running wide receiver, 68. I mean, that's okay. And Tanyan at 58. So everybody should feast, and probably Aaron Jones gets 2 touchdowns, and Adams gets his 1, and so you guess them who gets the other 1 or 2. You could play Green Bay's defense. I think it's okay. Cincinnati, Green Bay at home, not easy Green Bay defense, but Green Bay does tend to shut down the running back. So if it's P. Ryan or Evans, if Mixon doesn't play, that's a little bit at 48. It's kind of average, and those are not world beaters. I'm not sure how heavy I would play them in desperation only. Burrow, 72, his wide receivers. Higgins is back, so, he should be in there. Boyd should be in there. Chase. It's a 3-way scrum for targets and touchdowns. Somebody gets at least 1 score. And CJ Azuma last week did well and gets another opportunity this week at a 95. So I picked him up just because of this matchup right here. So in case Hawkinson doesn't go, I've got him. I'm going here, or Fant. I'm going in those two are my opportunities here. Not enamored with the defense or the kicker so much. Tennessee 28, Jacksonville 21. This is probably too much in favor of Tennessee. It's probably much closer, and the spread's only 3, over under 49. So it should be high scoring, but it could be last team with the ball wins. So this is that kind of game, which can provide us with maybe more points than we're thinking. So this may be a good prop to consider this week. Tennessee gets an easy Jacksonville, the 107 overall. Just walk over easy. Just flop on the ground and let Tennessee do what they will. So Tennessee still's been underwhelming, and lucky for them, they're getting, I think, A.J. Brown back. Of course, Henry feast, and he'll have a 79 to run into. So he's probably could score twice easily. And Tannehill is going to, hit its wide receivers, AJ, and then Fisker at 100 has an opportunity to be a streamer this week. Kicker's nice. Defense is Jacksonville, Tennessee is above average easy at a 79, still nice. Jacksonville, 55, so they're running back. It's okay. Could score. Not running away. Lawrence gets an 82. Look at Chanel and Jones should feast 2 scores, 1 each maybe. Avoid the tight end. Use the defense. Okay. Chargers and Cleveland. That's the wrong color. Both should be kind of greenish. This is whoever's got the ball last. The advantage, of course, is the Chargers being at home. Little chink in the armor with last week with Williams having a down time. That's all concerning. The coming off a down game. They can score maybe 3 touchdowns, 4 at best. The problem is their defenses are so tough, but because of that, you don't want to play their defenses against each other. Chargers get a home against 25 Cleveland. Eckler probably be pass catcher, not a runner. At 0, that's the toughest against a running back. Herbert gets 65, not bad. Cook 51, an average game, which for him it's he could get a score. The wide receivers are going to have pressure. Allen and Williams are going to have to rise to the occasion if the Chargers are going to win this week. That's it. That's where it comes down to. Cleveland versus the Chargers. Chargers are the toughest D at 0. They give a little bit of slack to the running back at 33. The quarterback and wide receiver 0. Tough passing, and Mayfield is not somebody that I would really want to use this week. Hooper could accidentally get something with a 43 up. Chargers do let their tight end, off the hook a little, so be aware. Wouldn't play the defense. The kickers in each game, you just don't know how this goes. This could go really good for the kickers. Even though this game is predicted to be high scoring, this could surprise. I'm not sure how I feel about the over under here. I probably would find a better game to invest in. Cardinals and 49ers. Cardinals should win by 11, 12, maybe 2 touchdowns. Spread is 6, over under 53, so that's a nice high flying game. Arizona gets a tougher than average San Francisco at home. Frisco gets tougher than average Arizona away. So that sets kind of the setting here. Arizona faces a 61, which is kind of a little bit easy, and the running back Edmonds and Connor should be a good bit of the show. Kyler Murray is 82. The wide receivers, the issue is who gets it, right? D Hop, Green, Kirk, and Rondell Moore. Goodness. Max Williams has been coming on. He's going to have a tougher game. This may be a pass unless you've got a streaming. Just be aware. I'm not sure I'm playing the Arizona defense. San Francisco gets an overall against a 40, so it's a little rough. The running game is going to be tough to get at a 37, so there's probably going to be more passing. If Kittle's playing, this doesn't bother me. If he's not, I don't know who their tight end is. It should be some passing action here for Frisco. I would play the defense. This could be a surprise kind of tricky stack here. I don't know. I think there's going to be points. It's just hard for me with this. This seems kind of confusing here as to what Frisco can do. This says passing. They've had one, what was it, Samuel. So is that going to be the focal point of Arizona's D? So does it open up for Ayuk a little bit? I don't know. Depends on if Kittle plays. If Kittle plays, that helps actually, but not sure. Cowboys Giants should be a runaway for the Cowboys. They should crush them like yard dogs. Crush them. 14-point, 2 touchdowns. The official spread is only 1. Over under is 51. Point score is high. Dallas gets an easy lay down walk over Giants D at 96. Zeke gets a 56 to run to. Zeke is one of the better running backs. Not worried. He'll get his. Wish they'd use Pollard more in the pass catching. This is that game to do that. That'll really increase their points. Dak, 85. Cooper, Lamb should bounce back. Schultz gets a great game script. He could produce. I don't think Schultz is out there, but if he is, by any chance, go get him. Kicker's fine for Dallas to play. The Giants face a tougher than average Dallas D, overall 63. Barkley's going to have to earn his pay at 24 DAP. I think that's going to force more passing with Jones at 69. The wide receivers and the tight end have opportunities here. I'm hoping Ingram moves up this time. I think I've got him as my tight end 2 at a couple of places in some flex spots, just looking for that upside based on 66. I think Slater and Shepard are out, so that puts Galladay and Tiny, which they did pretty good last week, so I expect more of the same. I wouldn't play any defenses. Another high score, have you noticed there's what about Most of the games are high scoring. So the good news, a lot of points. But the bad news is a lot of points because that means your opponent can get a lot of points. So, there's good and bad. Buffalo gets a walk over KCD, just flops on its back and lets Buffalo run. Even with that, KC, I think, can beat the Bills just because it's their offense with Kelsey, but I may be completely overestimating the offense. But based on paper, they should beat the Bills because they're just offensively more dynamic with Kelsey and the wide Tyreek Hill. But this could surprise. Bills could upset. I would not, even though I've got it kind of close with KC, score flipped wouldn't surprise me. In some ways, it is a you pick 'em. Spread's 2.5. But Buffalo should be getting just feasting on points. Moss and Singletary should have their run at 68 DAP, even if they're playing away. That's about why the Bills are a little not favored, because they're playing an away game. 97 KC, it's just walkover. Allen, 120 DAP. That's incredible. Wide receivers, Diggs, Beasley, Sanders. I can see each one of them getting a score. Knox, 72. That's all good. Wouldn't play any of the defenses. KC gets a tough defense, but they are at home. This is tough. This is going to tell us about KC. If KC folds like a cheap suitcase, folds up quickly, then not good. A 10, a 16, a 14. Kelsey gets the game. The script funnels to Kelsey, 2 scores. If KC wins, it's because of Kelsey. If Kelsey doesn't produce, they lose. Comes down to that one situation. Can Mahomes feed Kelsey to open up Tyreek against this awesome Buffalo D? Think about that question. If you can answer that, then, you got to play Tyreek and Kelsey and Mahomes. I would not play Hilaire. Ravens and Colts. Ravens should crush the Colts. Couple scores. Spread is 6.5. 49 over under. Baltimore places both of them. Baltimore and Indiana face below average, tougher D. Buffalo gets a home field advantage. Indianapolis has to play on the road. Is Wentz healthy with his legs, ankles issue? That, don't forget, that continues to worry me. Here's the 55. Baltimore gets the running. Murray is going to be used as the hammer to try to crack that, but he's facing a 29. I think Jackson's going to run for a score, and Hollywood or somebody else could score. Andrews should score with a 71. Probably wouldn't use the D. Indianapolis gets a 41 to go again. That's kind of tough. But Jonathan Taylor, Hines should, and Marlon Mack's in the picture, so that muddies the Hines water. Is that a word? Hines water. 61 here. It looks like Doyle or Bo Alley-Cox should prosper here. That's where the shift looks like. Pittman and whatnot with the wide receivers, they're going to struggle. As Wentz is going to struggle. So this, even though I've got it 18, this could be worse than that. I mean, the uncertainty level for me for Indianapolis in this scenario is great. I think Baltimore is less uncertain. So low uncertainty versus, to me, high uncertainty. You might consider Indianapolis D. I don't know. This could get crazy out of hand, and that is not worth gambling on a defense. So we now leave the world of lots of point firework games to below average, more defensive struggles. Atlanta 25 without Ridley. So that's, to me, is a bold pick. Jets 18. So it's a touchdown, but it could be less. Team with the ball wins. So the spread is closer to 3. Over under 44. I could see it definitely under. And a defensive struggle. The Jets do get an easy defense. If they can put it together like they did last week and wake the hell up, then they got an 80 DAP. That's nice. The Michael Carter, okay, it's his day, 81. Wilson, 86. The wide receivers, Crowder, Davis should feast and feast. Tight end, both defenses are in play. Both defenses are in play. Play both all day. I think the outcomes of the Jets are great. So if you look at last week only, you would say, oh, they're going to do well. But the weeks before, you would say they're not. So does 1 week make a new team? That's the question. I'm not convinced. That's why I've got it. That prediction, the Jets lose. Atlanta faces a tougher than average D, 59. Mike Davis and Patterson should romp and feast at 100. The rest of the game is going to be tough at 42, 37, 34. To me, it's a two-player game. I know everybody's talking about Pitts. This is not going to London, having a tough 34 DAP. It doesn't seem like this is the Pitts game. Last week should have been the Pitts game. You play the kicker all day long and the D. Expecting a lot of Patterson. I hope you picked him up on waivers, because this, he could, 2 scores is not out of the question. Mike Davis has an opportunity. Saints 21, Washington 24-21. I'm probably gifting the Saints more than they'll get. They've been a train wreck. They just have not been doing much of anything. How they've kept in as their D has kept them in the game. New Orleans faces an easy Washington D, but it's a away game. So that's never 100%. And again, it could be the last team with the ball wins. But a 99, that is just easy. Kamara gets to work against a 45. It's doable. Kamara should get a score or 2. But they're not using him in targets. I don't know what they're doing. Winston or Hill, 130. I could see Hill coming in, scoring 2. I don't know. You pick them, wide receivers, who's going to catch. They should catch 2 scores. The tight end even has an opportunity. You want to play the kicker. Do not play the D's of any of these. Washington faces at home tougher than average New Orleans Saints at a 52. Gibson was hurt, So do we see more McKissick? Probably against a 36. That's probably shifting to pass catching. So McKissick could be a surprise in your daily fantasy sports. Heineke is gifted a 31. So let's see how good he is. Has he faced a tougher situation? I don't know. I haven't kept track of him. The good news, if he can survive the pass rush and whatnot and make scoring, should get him 2 scores. And Ricky Seals-Jones has an opportunity to score right here. So, but I wouldn't play the D or the kicker. Carolina, Eagles. Carolina should beat them by a touchdown, but the spread is 3, below average, 45 over under. Carolina and Philadelphia face tougher than average D's. Carolina gets the home field, so they face a 42. Hubbard gets to fight, or Christian McCaffrey gets to fight into a 63. We'll see who plays. I don't think McCaffrey's going to play this week. I think it's Hubbard, and he should bounce back. The passing's going to be hit or miss. He's, tougher than average, 49, 37, 42. DJ Moore, Moore you got to play. I hope Anderson, be nice if Anderson surprises. It's hard not to play Anderson. I wouldn't play any of the D's. I know Carolina could be a play, but I think there are other opportunities if you have them. Philadelphia, Miles Sanders faces a 2, so Gainwell will probably have an advantage being a pass catcher. So I think Carolina can stuff the run, so it's going to open up Gainwell from the backfield to catch passes and short dumps. So that could be the trick. Hurst gets a 65. Wide receivers 50. So Devonta Smith gets an average game. So he's been doing pretty good in PPR. So I expect a lot of catches. I don't know about scoring. Ertz, Goddard, they have their opportunity. They could each score. Okay, so it could be a tight end game and a Gainwell pass catching running back game. If that's the case and Philadelphia can successfully do that, they can beat Carolina. And it could be last team gets the ball, gets the win. Avoid the D and the kicker. Raiders and Bears, a lot of turmoil with the Raiders coach, all the controversy in his emails or something. They went back 11, 12 years and found things that were inappropriate. I agree, I read them, but that's too bad when that spills over to the team. I hope it doesn't, but I could see it could. Chicago's been struggling, and I think that continues today. So I've got it 28-17. The spread officially is 5.5, 46 over under. Chicago gets an away game, but an easy D from the Raiders at an 80. Whoever the running back Chicago has, it's not Montgomery, so is it Williams? Is it Herbert below? I don't know who's healthy. Could be a muddled backfield committee, so it could be you guess them who scores, but there should be 2 scores out of those guys. The quarterback said he found that's good. You would think Komet should prosper against a 90, but I have no clue. He has been not performing with easy daps this season so far. The wide receivers, once again, Robinson has a tougher than average situation. You almost got to play him, but don't be surprised. at a lackluster performance there. I guess Mooney is the new hot topic. He's still going to have things to deal with as well. Vegas gets a tougher than average Chicago at home, gives them an advantage against a 54. Jacobs, if he's back and healthy and everything, and I think he is, then 17, he's going to struggle. I think the story is going to be the wide receivers, Renfro, Edwards, Ruggs. It wouldn't surprise me to see 2 or 3 scores out of those guys. Waller should score, but it's his usual game. He's going to have to work hard to keep relevant. 32 is pretty tough. You do want to play the Raiders D. Maybe even the Chicago D, but for sure the Raiders D and the kicker. New England and Houston. So we're now moving to the era of super defensive struggles or a sucky offense. And in that case, that's the Houston Texans, 30-11. So that's sad. Spread is about 10 points. Touchdown and a field goal. New England gets an above average, easy defense to play into, even if it is an away game, and an 81. Not bad. Harris is going to struggle, so you figure Bolden catches lots of passes and ramps up to be the James White Jr. If you have Harris and have no other choice, you got to play him, but I would not expect high expectations. Mac Jones gets an easy time of it with his tight ends. Goodness, look at that. Too bad there's 2 viable tight ends there. So it's a you pick 'em. One would think both get a score, but who knows? Could be Henry getting 2 or Jonnu Smith getting 2, and that would be frustrating if you own the other tight end. This is going to be frustrating all season. The wide receivers are getting about a 48, so it's a below average game, but close to 50. So maybe a score out of there. They should be perky, but I just don't know how much they need to score versus Houston. This can be another shutout for Houston. Play New England's kicker. The defense is okay. Houston gets below average D at 38. David Johnson and Ingram can score. Forget the tight end. It's 0. Wide receivers have an opportunity. Cooks will get PPR goodness. That's about it. I would play the kicker and the D. Even though New England could really run up the score. Mac Jones is still learning. He could throw some interceptions. It could be some. I mean, I'm not saying I'm the strongest on Houston's D, but it's playable if you need them. Pittsburgh, it's Ben's arm versus the Broncos, and this could be a surprise, and the Broncos could actually outscore Pittsburgh. Denver's playing away, though. Ben does good at home. Denver faces a tougher than average defense from Pittsburgh. Offense is 51. So Melvin Gordon and Williams face a 9. Goodness. They're going to have to earn their vittles. Food. That's what vittles is. Denver is probably going to pass. Fant has an opportunity, but a 41 is still tough. So this could be a Cortland Sutton, Tim Patrick kind of situation. I'd play the kicker, not the D. So Pittsburgh faces one of the toughest Ds. So you got Ben, whose arm is noodly now, playing at home against an 18 DAP. Harris is going to be a pass catcher, going to be hard to run. Ben gets a 30. Our tight ends, maybe. Ebron or the new kid gets a shot. The wide receivers get an average game, so that's what's going to save Ben. I know you got to play Deontay Johnson. I just don't know about Juju and Claypool. If they all both play, what you get. You want to play the Pittsburgh D early and often there. Okay, that's my matchup, quick highlight point description. I think deeper than I've just said because I give more time and look at my rankings and other metrics to try to make a better gumbo. But anyway, that's what the matchups seem to me. So good luck. I hope this helps. At least use this as a starting point for your investigations here. I feel like that's definitely what this is for, is you have a starting point. So good luck. Let's crush week 5. Come back next week. We got targets, snaps, more matchups. Listen to our podcast. It's all good stuff. For Dr. Bush, the process, so long, folks.